Hey, what's up, party people? This is Reviewable, Micah and Braden, where we review stuff.
That's right. Today we're talking about Civil War.
The movie that...
Not the movie, just the concept.
Oh.
Yeah.
The war that happened in...
No. Not the war. Just the concept of Civil War. What do you think?
Well, the concept of it. Interesting.
I think it sounds
Are you going to bring up examples of Civil
I think
Wars?
It sounds pretty cool, personally. I think we should do it.
Okay, what would you rate it?
The concept?
Yeah.
Probably a 10.
Holy hell, Braden.
What?
You're so dumb.
Why?
No. We're going to talk about the movie Civil War that came out this year, 2024.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah. You want to give a synopsis?
So it's about the Western forces, or Western Coalition, is that what they call themselves?
I think they just call themselves Western Forces.
So these are two states that seceded from the United States, California and Texas, and they are fighting against... They're trying to get to D.C.
The marble steps of old D.C.
and capture and kill the president.
To overthrow the government.
Right, but the president is in his third term. He's disbanded the FBI. He's apparently attacking civilians, bombing.
Defunded the police, right? Or no?
All I remember is that he disbanded the FBI.
Okay.
Basically, he's a bad president. And anyway, there's really not much that the filmmakers do in the way of explaining why the war happened or why the war started.
It just
is. And we follow 3 photojournalists as they're trying to make their way into D.C. to interview the president right before he gets captured. That's what the movie's about.
Did you feel like it was fine that they didn't give a reason why the Civil War started?
Yes. I think that was really smart. Especially because it's an election year. When I first saw the trailer for this, I was like, this feels borderline irresponsible that it's coming out right now. Because I was sure that it was going to be leaning. I figured for sure it was going to be left-leaning.
Yeah.
The message.
The reason we say that is because of Hollywood.
Most of Hollywood is, and I felt so sure that that's what it was going to be, and it's really not. I don't think it's leaning either way.
I felt like it was pretty moderate.
Yeah, I really don't think it's leaning either way.
Yeah.
Which is really the intelligent way to do it, because I don't think the point of this movie is to talk about why the war started or who's wrong or who's right. It's just the point is to show what a civil war might look like in the United States today. And I think it does it effectively.
Yeah. Okay.
There was something else I was going to say. Right, okay, so you might hear the premise and think that this is like a war movie. It's really more of like a road trip movie. Because...
Like Zombieland?
Yeah, exactly like Zombieland. Or what's another road trip? It's like Little Miss Sunshine. Think Little Miss Sunshine. And that's what we have here.
But with more dead bodies.
Right. Because they are traveling from New York and they have to go New
York City.
Yeah, they have to go the long way around to DC. And so they pass through Pittsburgh and where else? Charlottesville? Where's that?
I don't know. Look it up. Because I thought that it sounds like somewhere that's like in North or South Carolina, but that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it doesn't. Let's see. Route taken.
No, just look up where Charlottesville is.
In Civil War. I just want to see if anyone has done this. Anyone has made a map yet.
You put 2024.
Wait, no, it must be in Virginia.
That makes more sense. It just sounds like a city
because DC, because they said that's the front line. Charlottesville is the front line.
And that's yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, we're following these 3 characters as they make their way to DC and they stop in these different places, and then you get little different snippets of how the war is affecting the place that they're stopping in. I guess we should talk about the characters really quick, right?
Yeah.
One of them is played by Kirsten Dunst, who you may know from The Killer. She was also in Spider-Man. Spider-Man's girlfriend, Mary Jane.
There's Wagner Moura, who plays Joel, who is her
Partner.
Yeah.
The interviewer.
Yeah. So she's the photographer and he's the journalist.
Right.
And then when they're in New York, they meet a girl named Jess.
Oh, was that? I didn't even know her name.
Her name's Jessica, but they sometimes call her Jess or Jessie. And she is young,
She wants to be a photographer. She wants to be a war photographer. Just like
Kirsten Dunst.
Yeah. And then there's an old man. His name is Sammy. Okay, Sammy. Played by, what's this guy's name? Stephen McKinley. You'll recognize him, though. He's in
other stuff.
He's in a lot of other stuff. He was in Dune Part 1. He was one of the Mentats.
He was?
Yeah, he was.
Oh.
And he's sort of like the old guy that wants to tag along for reasons.
Because he's still a journalist, but he's old. He needs to be done. You know?
Right, and they don't really want to take him with them because he can't move. He can't.
He can't run away if something happened.
Right.
And so this just follows the four of them as they road trip on their way to D.C. so that Joel can interview the president.
Yeah.
And some of the run-ins that they have with military and crazy people. Right.
Meth Damon.
Yeah, Meth Damon.
I wrote that the first note I wrote was style, not much substance. But I kind of take that back after reflecting about the movie for a couple of days. I will say that if they wanted to make it a character-driven movie, which it seems like they spend enough time on the characters that they kind of want you to connect with the characters, it doesn't really work. I didn't really care about any of the characters that much.
I care about Joel.
They're shallow, in my opinion.
I cared about Joel and I cared about Jessica, but I just don't think Kirsten Dunst's character is very relatable to me.
Yeah.
I didn't connect with her. And
the
reason I say that is because they give the impression that she's been doing this a long time, war photography.
Yeah.
She's seen a lot of stuff, and my interpretation of it is that the way that she copes is by putting on a brave face, and then
I think she's really jaded.
Yeah, that too. And then will stew on it on her own, but is not very positive.
Yeah.
And Joel, the way he copes is by substances, is by drinking.
Well, and laughing. And
yeah, but self-medicating, you
Yeah.
know, and trying to make light of it. But then he drinks and he smokes, and when he's able to, he tries to just laugh it off.
Right.
But they've definitely seen a lot of really horrible things.
Yeah, that should be mentioned too. This movie does have some images that are grisly and graphic and disturbing.
But Braden said this after we watched it. It doesn't glorify it. It doesn't...
No.
What he said after the movie, it doesn't fetishize war.
Right.
Which I agree with. It shows horrible parts, but it doesn't... I am sensitive to gruesome things, and there were times that I had to look away, but I wouldn't say that this is an overly gory movie at all.
To lend perspective, I think that Hacksaw Ridge is an example of a movie that goes too far with the violence. I understand that it's a very violent thing, and body parts get blown up, and it's just gross things happen in battle. But the very first scene where they get to the top of the ridge in Hacksaw Ridge, there's a half blown apart man that just sits up and he starts screaming, and then his face gets shredded by a machine gun, and you can like see his spine and like just.
Ew. Okay, stop.
It's like that. That to me is not. That feels like fetishized violence. This movie is not that. It's like the violence happens and it's quick and it's disturbing because it's so quick and lives are being snuffed out, for no reason at all, basically. I much prefer the way they do it in this movie than something like Hacksaw Ridge. That being said, I wasn't a big fan of the way that the characters were written. I didn't think they really worked that well. I
disagree.
Okay.
But that's all.
What I do think works really well about this movie is everything involved in the sound design, in the visual department. It looks and sounds amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is something that you should probably see in theaters. It's that well done, directorial wise, cinematography wise, sound design wise. The guns sound freaking loud and unsettling. And I don't remember ever thinking that. Well, the last movie I remember making me feel like that was 1917.
This movie did kind of make me think of that movie.
And yeah, so like when there's gunfire that happens all of a sudden, you're like, freak, jeez. Like
when Jess falls in that pit, it made me think of 1917 with the river.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a couple of scenes that I wrote down in particular. There's a scene where you're seeing like a sprinkler from really close, and you're seeing like light reflecting off of the water, and like you're seeing behind the water, you're seeing flowers and like daisies and stuff. And it's really like,
I don't remember this.
It's really artfully done. I like that shot. And then there's another where they're driving through a forest fire.
Oh, I was going to mention this.
Yeah,
this scene right here, there's this scene and one other one that I'll mention the other one later, but that scene where they're driving through the forest fire is totally worth seeing it in theaters for that scene.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
The entire DC battle, like when you get overhead shots of like helicopters flying through smoke and like stuff, you're like, this movie looks freaking good.
Mm-hmm.
It looks really good. So there's some really beautiful shots that I was a big fan of, but I think what I'm a bigger fan of is this feels like America. Like, it feels like you're traveling through all these little towns that all of us have passed through, going on road trips or whatever, except it's a war zone. And it's scary to see that. It's like scary to see a JCPenney that's all destroyed and crumbling, and there's a helicopter crashed in the middle of the parking lot, and you're like, I really hope this never happens.
You want to know the most relatable part of that whole scene?
Yeah.
Somebody didn't put their shopping cart away.
Nice. Yeah, that is pretty relatable.
What a horrible person.
So I think on that front, I think this movie is trying to. Obviously, we know that civil war is bad, and we've seen footage from Ukraine, and we've seen what it looks like in Ukraine. But I think that we're so insulated as Americans that it doesn't really hit home. And I think that might be the point of this movie, is to like show us Ukraine in our home, so that we can visualize it now.
Well, they mentioned that in the movie. Not Ukraine, but Lee, Kirsten Dunst's character, she's been all over the world photographing these different wars.
Yeah.
And she's like, I always thought that I was sending these photos home to the States as like a warning.
Yeah.
And now I'm photographing in my backyard.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that...
And that is so scary. The whole concept of that is so scary.
Yeah.
And we've never experienced that except for like Pearl Harbor as Americans, right?
And 9/11, I guess.
Oh yeah, 9/11.
But yeah, like we're very insulated from a lot of the conflicts that happen elsewhere. Thankfully, it's and I think that it's really easy to watch a movie. The first one that comes to mind is Hotel Rwanda for some reason. It's really easy to watch a movie like that and think of it as like an imaginary place almost, because it looks nothing like where we live or what we're used to. And I think this movie does an excellent job at saying like this could be our country if we don't get a hold of all of the divisions that exist in our society and just figure shit out, you know? Like, if we allow things to escalate between two sides, this is what our country could look like one day. So be careful.
Keep allowing. Never mind. One scene that I did really love, and I told Braden after we watched this, that this honestly, I really liked the movie, and then when this scene happened, I kind of loved the movie.
Yeah.
There's one point where someone dies, and Joel has a very, very strong reaction to this person dying.
Yeah.
And where the Western Forces, they found their camp or something. They stopped at the Western Forces camp, and the Western Forces are moving out to go towards DC, and Joel is standing there with a bottle of liquor screaming.
Yeah.
And you can't hear him screaming because the tanks and everything are so loud.
Yeah.
And just the acting in that one moment honestly made me love this movie. Because it felt so real.
Well, you turned to me after the movie and you're like, Wagner Moura is so good. And I was like, well, yeah, Narcos.
I haven't seen that, but
he's the guy that plays Pablo Escobar in Narcos.
Like, he didn't feel that relatable in the way that he copes to me until that moment.
Yeah. There's some strange juxtaposition with the soundtrack. So you'll see like a helicopter flying by a river and like just, you know, turrets on both sides of the helicopter, and it's following like a military convoy and it's flying over debris and stuff, and they're playing like a country song. So like some interesting juxtaposition stuff. It reminded me a little bit of Full Metal Jacket. So I kind of like that. I think the soundtrack is pretty good. And then this is a spoiler, so I'll save that. If you've seen the trailer, you've for sure seen the scene where Jesse Plemons, aka Meth Damon, who you may have seen from The Killer and Breaking Bad.
And Game Night.
Yeah, I think most people are going to know him from Breaking Bad.
The movie or the show?
The show.
He was in the show?
Yes. That's why your brother calls him Meth Damon.
Oh, I thought it was just because he looked like...
He looks like Matt Damon, but he's like a meth runner.
Oh, I thought it was just because he looked like Matt Damon on meth.
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay, so if you've watched any of the trailers, you've seen the scene where he's like, what kind of American are you? He's like scratching his beard. Wagner Moura's like, you don't understand, we're Americans, and he's holding a rifle.
Meth Damon is.
And he's wearing those like sunglasses, those red tinted sunglasses, and he's like, what kind of American are you?
Sure, we're all American. But what kind of American are you?
Very good scene, very intense.
That's another good scene of showing in my opinion, a true human reaction to something.
Oh, yeah, of what's occurring during the scene, yeah.
And how that guy had no control over saying a lie, basically, in my opinion.
Wagner Moura?
No.
Who are you talking about?
Tony.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah.
And
and Wagner Moura. Everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, and freaking Jesse Plemons is proving once again that he's an underrated actor and he should be in more stuff. But I watched a review of this movie on YouTube, and this reviewer said that the impact of that whole "what kind of American are you" question doesn't work. She was saying that doesn't work. Like, the impact was lost because they don't explain the context of what's going on, what side these guys are on.
I don't think it matters.
Why the war started, and I think that's completely... I disagree with that completely. I don't think that's the point at all. I think the point of this scene is, if you have to ask that question, regardless of who you are, what kind of American are you, then you're in the wrong, and you need to look at the way that you view the world, the way that you view your country. He's a representation of everything that's wrong with the extreme right and the extreme left. I don't think it matters what side he falls on. I don't think it matters if he's on the left or the right, if he's on the Western forces or if he's defending the capital. Doesn't matter. You can get to that point where you care more about what side somebody's on or where somebody's from than the fact that we're all living in the same country. We're living in America, the great melting pot, right? I think he's a representation of like how toxic it is to just go all in on one side. That's how I saw his character.
Extreme.
Yeah.
Extremes are dangerous.
Yeah. So I disagree completely. I think that line worked really well. You just have to, like, you know, again, you have to realize the filmmakers don't care about what started the war. They're just looking at what the war could look like and what sorts of people it would create.
Well, and he's a realistic character. I think, like, all of these characters are realistic for the most part.
Yeah.
Definitely all, like, the supporting minor characters are all real.
Yeah.
They all feel real. They're all possibilities that could happen.
Yeah. The last thing, I thought the sniper scene was really funny.
That was so stressful.
It was stressful but funny.
They show up to this, they're driving on the road to DC, and they are on this road, and they come across this, it almost looks like a golf course, but it's like a winter wonderland. And there's like the creepy...
jingle bells, jingle...
music
like
playing.
Echoing across the plains.
Yeah, and there's like cutouts of snowmen and candy canes and all this.
But then there's one dead body in the middle of the road.
And they stop, and they're like, well, what do we do? So then Lee pulls out her camera with the super long lens, and she starts looking around. She doesn't see anybody. She doesn't see any movement. So they keep going, and somebody snipes their car.
Yeah, it doesn't hit anybody. But then they get out of the car, and they're taking cover, and then they see...
And the creepy music is playing.
And they see a sniper and his spotter to the left, or to the right of them. And they're like, they're in a sniper standoff, and they're both trying to figure out where the other is. And they're like, hey, what's going on?
Joel is asking this, as a journalist. He's like, what's going on? What are you guys doing?
He's like, I don't know. He's trying to kill us. We're trying to kill him.
So what are you guys doing?
We're trying to find the guy and shoot him. And they just, like, keep asking all these questions. And eventually the spotter, like lowers his scope. And he's like, oh, I get it. You're retarded. And it's just like a very tense but funny scene.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot of really, like, the direction in this movie is fantastic.
That scene made me realize I was so anxious during that scene. I was like, I need to be better about taking my meds. So I was so anxious.
Oh, that would be scary.
Oh, it was so scary.
Well, I mean, like, it wouldn't be that bad if you got hit by the sniper in a fatal spot, because then you'd be dead.
Yeah.
But imagine if he hits you in the arm.
Yeah.
And then you take cover, and it's going to be hours before, before you get him or he gets you, and you're just going to be sitting there in pain, because what if he misses? What if he misses, but he still hits you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then also, the DC battle is so well done.
Yeah. I wish that they would have... I feel like you kind of understand what's going on with Lee during that. She kind of has, like, a freak out. She's crying.
Yeah.
I wish that they would have just explained that a little bit.
This is my major issue with the movie, is we're following Lee, we're following Jesse, we're following Joel, we're following... Sammy. We don't really get to understand these characters that well.
There's not a ton of development.
And I don't think we really even get to sympathize with them. And people had that same problem with 1917 because the focus is the journey they're going on. But I think it works better there because you're only following two characters. Spoiler alert, eventually one. Mm-hmm. You're only following that one character. So you don't need to know who he is. He's you. Because you're going on this journey and it's all done like no cuts. So it feels like you're going through the journey with him. This isn't that. This does try to get you to understand its characters, but I just feel like it doesn't really work that well. But I think it works in every other way so well that I'm willing to be I'm willing to say, okay, I don't really need to care about these characters that much.
Yeah. I think the way that the characters are, it would have been fine the whole movie if Lee didn't have that freak out at the end. In my opinion. You don't really need the development of these characters.
Yeah.
A whole lot until Lee has this freak out and you're kind of like, why is she doing this? I think I have an idea of why she's doing this, but I wish I knew for sure. You know.
Okay.
Keep going.
Are you ready to rate it?
It was at the end of the...
Yeah, because I'm going to say one more thing, but it's spoilery,
Okay.
So
the parents' guide on this is rated R for language and violence.
Yeah.
And gore, I would say. It's not overly gory, but when it is, you're like, ee.
Yeah, it's definitely R.
Yeah.
It's definitely rated R.
But...
And there's some upsetting scenes and some upsetting images and...
Yeah.
You know, there's some people being tortured in one scene and... Yeah, there's stuff.
Yeah.
So
spoiler, or you want to rate it?
Yeah, let's rate it.
You go first.
So I would have initially given this like a 7.5 maybe, but the more I've thought about it, the more it's grown on me, and I think that visually it's stunning.
Mm-hmm.
Audio wise, it's stunning. I think that as an American watching this, it made me reflect on the state of our country and the future of our country, and I think it did its job, and it stuck with me, and I've been thinking about it for a couple of days, which doesn't usually happen.
Not lately with movies that have come out recently.
Yeah, so I'm bumping it up to an 8.5. 8.5 plata o plomo out of 10.
Plata o plomo.
What the heck does that mean?
That's a Narcos reference.
Oh, nice. So, I agree with what Braden said about it being visually an amazing movie. I also think that I just haven't seen a movie made like this in a long time.
Yeah.
It really surprised me how much I enjoyed it. And just everything about it. I think I'm going to rate this a 9.
Yeah.
A 9 capture the moments.
Okay.
Out of 10. So, spoilers ahead.
I really didn't think I was going to like it as much as I did.
I did not think so either.
I thought I was going to think
this was really surprising.
Yeah. So this is a small thing. A major spoiler for a small payoff. So get ready for me to spoil the very end of the movie for something that's very inconsequential, and I hope you appreciate it. At the very end, the Western forces reach D.C., they get into the White House, and they find the president hiding in the Oval Office, and they're about to kill him, and Wagner Moura is like, wait, I need to get a quote. And he puts the microphone up to the president, and the president's like, don't let them kill me. And he's like, that'll do. And then they shoot him, and then they take a picture. And I thought it was funny because in Narcos, for those of you that have watched it, when they finally caught Pablo Escobar, they shot him, they chased him on a rooftop, shot him, and
Who's
then
they?
The people that were hunting him, including one of the DEA agents, the Americans, the white DEA agent from the show. They took a picture in front of his dead body, all smiling.
Oh,
on the rooftop.
So that last photo.
And then they take a photo, everybody smiling around the dead body of the president, and the actor that played Pablo Escobar I don't think he was in the photo, but he's in that room. I just thought that was...
That's really funny.
A funny little connection, yeah.
I forgot to mention this earlier. I know that something that I also liked about this movie, it's not a new concept, capturing important moments in a movie through photos.
Yeah.
But I really liked the way that this movie did it. Because it was switching back and forth between black and white film and digital color photos.
Yeah.
And I thought that they did a really good job of that.
Yeah, I mean, the production is pretty much seamless. Editing.
Yeah.
cinematography, sound, like everything.
Yeah.
About the way it's put together and the way it looks.
I just really like that.
And directed is really good. Okay. Let's move on. One thing each.
Okay. I read a book this week. It is called The Maidens, and it's by the same author as The Silent Patient. Alex Michaelides, I think maybe. And it's basically about this woman and her niece. This woman has had pretty much everyone die in her life. Her parents, her sister and her brother-in-law, her husband. And so the only family she has left is her niece. And she is a psychotherapist, which is just a talk therapist.
Yeah, just a therapist that's insane.
Yeah.
A psychopathic
And
therapist.
the book starts, and her niece calls her from university and is like, my friend is missing, and someone is on the news that they found on the news they found a body, and it sounds like my friend. And so the main character goes up to Oxford, to the university that her niece is at, and is there with her niece, and eventually there's other murders that happen, and somehow she solves the whole thing.
Sounds like a smart cookie.
Yeah. That's the basic premise of it. The Silent Patient is definitely a better book. I don't know how much I love this author, but I thought I would try out other books by him.
But are you in love with this author?
You weren't supposed to ask that.
Why not?
You don't want me to...
It's true?
No.
Huh.
It's like The Silent Patient in the way that it's like a soft thriller, I guess. Some of the writing is a little annoying, and some of the characters are so dumb and just creepy, and that's the point, but I just don't really like it. But I think I'm gonna rate this 7 hidden knives out of 10.
Nice.
Yeah. What about you?
I finished Mr. Inbetween.
Oh, nice.
I told you I'd do it. I told you I'd do it before I finished Shogun.
So to all you haters, piss off.
And
right?
yeah, you know what? I'm gonna continue to piss them off, because I started watching Shogun again today, and all I could think about was, I just don't like this as much as Mr. Inbetween. Not to say that it's bad. I do like Shogun. But anyway, let's get back to the topic at hand, shall we? So, I raved about season 2. I really raved about season 1 as well, but I really raved about season 2 last week. Season 3, I will say I don't think is as good as season 2. I'd say it's as good as season 1. So, still very good, very solid. The sad truth is Scott Ryan, the guy that plays Ray and the guy that wrote the show and produces the show, got tired of writing it.
Oh, so it's over?
It's done. He says he may come back to it at some point, because there's still ideas that he had, and there's some plot lines that could be stretched out into a season, or half a season maybe. But there's nothing major, I feel like, that gets left unsaid or undone or unresolved. It resolves enough. I complained about Peaky Blinders season 5 when I finished it, because
It's not the last season.
Yeah, or maybe it was 6. I can't remember. The last season of Peaky Blinders, because they left stuff unresolved. But on top of that, there were some really stupid, contrived things that happened at the end of that season that just left a nasty, sour taste in my mouth. And then on top of me being mad about that, I was like, oh yeah, and they didn't finish this plot line, and they didn't finish that plot line. I'm okay with it in this case, because what I did get was excellent. Just as excellent as it's ever been, really.
Well, and I think it's good to end something before it turns bad.
Yeah. Scott Ryan needs to be in more stuff.
Is that the actor? Right?
Yeah, and producer and writer. Yeah. I mean, this is his property, so of course he's going to know how to write it. But everything just feels like a real conversation, a real, like, all of his mannerisms, or they feel lifelike to like a crazy degree. Just really good. And he's a great actor. There's a couple of scenes in this last season where I was like, dang, this show, after pretty much every episode, I just kind of like watch the credits for a little bit because I have to let it sit with me. That's the kind of show this is. Where you're not just like, okay, next episode. Like, the episode will end and you'll be like, man, I need to be with my thoughts for a little bit.
In like, wow, that was scary, like, creepy, or that was a lot, or in the way that, like, wow, that was really good?
Good.
Okay.
Good ways. You know, sometimes creepy, sometimes, like, that was disturbing, sometimes that was really satisfying, sometimes really sad, sometimes, like, just, dang, that was quality. Yeah. So this is, great show. Really, really like this show. Very underrated. I think if we want Scott Ryan to blow up, which we all do, we got to get more people to watch this show. I think this is going to be
Where
one
do you
of those.
watch it? On Hulu?
Yeah, you can watch it on Hulu. Mr. Inbetween, it's called.
FX, right?
FX.
Yeah, Braden has been on the FX train recently.
Apparently, when they were trying to get this, so he released a short into an Australian film festival, and Nash Edgerton saw it and convinced him to, beef it up a little bit, and then they released a feature called The Magician, always starring Ray, that character. And then at a certain point they decided they wanted to make it a show, and they kept trying to make it a show, and everybody was saying no. They went to HBO. HBO wanted too much control. They also weren't willing to cast Scott Ryan in the lead role. And Nash,
could you even imagine?
No, I cannot.
No. I haven't even really seen this show, and
Yeah.
he plays the perfect character.
Yeah.
There's these moments where I was watching, I think you showed me a scene where it's Ray and two other people. I don't even know who the other people are.
No, wait, was this what I showed you yesterday?
Yeah.
Don't spoil it.
Oh, that's a spoil?
That's the last scene of the entire series.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Okay, anyway, it doesn't matter. But he plays the perfect type of character where someone will say something and he'll give this creepy smile.
oh, he's so good at
He's
it.
so good at the creepy smile,
Yeah.
but he's such a good person because there's this. He's not a great person, but he has great aspects.
He's
Can I say
got-
about the girl?
Yeah, sure.
So he gets a call and he's finds out that he needs to go take care of somebody, and he shows up at the house and this girl is dead. She OD'd, it looks like.
Yeah.
And the guy there is like, hurry up, my parents are gonna be home. And Ray is like...
He's like being really rude about it and like, get this bitch out of here. Help me get this bitch out of here.
And Ray is like, dude, like, that's somebody's daughter.
Yeah.
And Ray was told, drive out to this specific location and feed her to the pigs.
Yeah. To a pig farm. Feed
Yeah.
her to the pigs.
And he drives out there to the farm and he sees an open field and he goes and buries her.
And he walks out and he
Carrying.
he walks past the pigs and he's just carrying her into the field, and then the episode ends. And there's music playing. That's what I mean by like, you finish the episode and you're just like,
Yeah.
I gotta sit for a minute.
So the assumption is that he buried her.
Yeah.
He
He definitely buried her.
He's also like with like his own fellow people. He plays a perfect bad guy. I feel like not too bad where you're like, oh, I hate you.
Yeah.
He just has some really redeeming qualities. I haven't even seen this show.
Yeah.
And I like it.
and like the mundane scenes, there's a lot of scenes of his life, just his mundane life, getting groceries, eating dimmies.
Tell them about when his daughter's at the beach.
Oh yeah, that might take too long.
Oh, well, basically his daughter's at the beach and him and his buddy are like spying on her to make sure that you know, because she's like a preteen or a young teenager.
Yeah.
And to make sure she doesn't get up to no good. And his friend, they're sitting in the car watching her walk off with this boy, and his friend is looking through binoculars.
He's like, what's he doing? He's lighting up a joint. He's offering her a puff. She said no. Good girl, Britt.
Oh, he's putting his arm around her. If he cops the feel, what are you gonna do or whatever?
Ray's like, if he starts feeling her up, go over there and rip his little dick off.
And then she gets up and she walks away, and then the friend is like, oh, she's making a phone call. I wonder who she's calling. And she calls Ray. It's just funny.
Yeah.
Just like a total protective dad thing to do, you know?
This show is so freaking good. Just it captures life perfectly, but with, you know, through the eyes of this man who has a very violent job. And it tackles his complexity so well, his moral compass. He's very compelling, he's very likable. Man, I can't say enough good things about this show. I feel like there was something else I wanted to say, but I can't really remember. The last scene of this show, a show can really impress me with the last scene of its season, because that's your last interaction with that season.
For a year.
For however long it is, right?
Yeah.
So, like, examples. The Bear, the ending of season 1, the whole montage where they're finding the money inside the tomato cans.
Oh, season 1.
Yeah, and then Carmi, like, looks to the side, and then it cuts to a flashback of his brother looking back at him, and his brother's smiling, and they're playing a Radiohead song in the background, and then it cuts, and it's like a perfect ending scene for that season. That scene stuck with me for like weeks after I finished The Bear. Another example, the very ending of Justified. Do you remember how that ends? Spoilers for Justified, I guess.
No, don't spoil it.
Really, really well done. This ending scene for this series is so freaking perfect. It's the one I showed you last night.
Yeah, it was really good. I didn't have the context, but it was good.
Yeah. Really good. So, I'm going to rate it now. I'm going to give this... I guess I'll give it a 9.2, just like the first season. So, if I plug this into the old aggregator, 9.2 plus 10 plus 9.2 is 28.4 divided by a possible 30.
30?
Yeah.
Oh.
10
Oh,
10 out of 10. So we would be rating this series as a whole. Sorry, I'm going to give it a 9.2 creepy, toothy smiles out of 10 for this season. And then the entire series, I'm giving a 9.5, rounding up. It deserves it. 9.5.
Dimmies?
No, I already gave it dimmies.
Oh.
9.5. These are the end times for Dewey Crow. Out of 10.
Was he in this show?
Yes.
Oh, right.
Yeah, apparently he's Australian in real life.
That's wild.
I know. IRL.
Wow. Okay. Well, what do you have coming up?
I'll be done with Shogun by next episode. We're also going to be done with Fallout.
I'm determined to finish the movie Beautiful Boy.
Yeah, right.
I started watching it.
I've been saying that for years now.
Oh my gosh. And what's that one show that we've been watching?
Shoresy?
Yeah, Shoresy.
Yeah. Oh, Mad Max is coming out. Are you going to watch that with me?
If you make me.
The Fall Guy apparently is pretty good. Maybe we'll go see that.
Probably not next week, though.
Should we go?
Well, that's it. Okay. Okay, have a great week, everyone. Bye!